I'm going to start this video by apologizing for the vertical film ratio, but nevertheless I wanted to make a video about a series of slides that I saw on Instagram regarding James Gunn and his new accusation that cameo porn is one of the worst parts of modern day superhero films. And I have to agree with him. I think that cameo porn, which is basically when they stick characters into scenes that they don't need to be in for literally no reason, except to draw people into the theaters to think, oh, I'm going to get to see this character in the movie, is probably one of the laziest and most ineffective ways of actually creating an interesting story, because it says to the audience, and to me specifically, that you don't have as much confidence in your own story as you think you should have, so you want to cameo bait. We see a lot of this with a lot of other movies and TV shows out there. And it's only gotten worse as time has gone on. But I do have a caveat here. Because I'm not going to make this a video where I'm talking about how James Gunn is just, oh, he's so right on this subject. Because I've seen the casting list. I've seen the character cameo list regarding these other characters that he's going to be injecting into the next Superman movie. A movie that should be about the story of Clark Kent and nothing else, but just so happens to have characters like Hawkgirl in it, introducing innumerable other characters for no other reason. No apparent reason. It's a movie about Superman, yet we're getting a bunch of other characters. Half the DC universe has been injected into this film already. Let's go ahead and read what he says here. I just call that cameo porn, and it has been one of the worst elements of recent superhero films. If a character is in a film, they should have to have a reason to be there story-wise. I don't mind actual cameos. It's a glimpse or a moment or an Easter egg. What bothers me is when they mangle an elegant story, by shoehorning characters in. They aren't there because the story calls for it, but for some other reason. And again, that statement right there, I completely agree with. I completely agree with that statement, that summary. Everything about what he just said there is something I agree with. However, we have to take this in context. This is the same guy who, again, has made casting announcement for characters in a Superman movie that should not be in a Superman movie. This is the same guy. This is a toast for here saying this is the same guy who said The Flash is one of the best movies ever, which had endless amounts of cameo porn. You had Ben Affleck, you had Ben Affleck as Batman, you had Jason Momoa as Aquaman, you had Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman, you had the back head CGI shot of Superman in there stopping a volcano. Then you also had Michael Keaton as Batman for the majority of the film. You had Sasha Calle coming in as a Supergirl, and then you had George Clooney coming in at the end of the movie to be the next Batman for that destroyed universe that was completely wrecked, fictionally, right? You also had cameos from a dead Christopher Reeves with a horrible CGI remake of the character and a horrible CGI rendering of Nicolas Cage's version of Superman. There was so much cameo porn in that film, and that was horrendous. But he also said it was one of the greatest movies of all time. And he also approved of a bunch of cameo porn, like Jason Momoa and Ezra Miller as the Flash and Aquaman in, well, Peacemaker. And I already mentioned George Clooney in The Flash and Nicolas Cage in The Flash. So here's this. Astro Boyo, hashtag release the Coyote Cut, says he didn't greenlight anything from The Flash. The movie was already finished when he was made head of the DCU. Plus, he would probably risk his career if he talked badly about the studio's next film. And then Houston's Hokage decided that he was going to make a statement regarding that and actually link an image of a report. This reported at the time that Warner Bros. And the team behind The Flash kept Clooney's appearance in the film secret for close to 6 months. As DC heads James Gunn and Peter Safran reached out to Clooney's agent at CAA, Brian Lord, and showed him a cut of the mostly finished film. Lord then showed it to the star, who liked it and agreed to take part in a cameo. Gunn has also previously tweeted that Clooney is absolutely not the DCU's new Batman, as he and Safran revamp the comic book universe. Following the superhero role, Clooney has shifted to director mode, helming The Boys in the Boat, which tells an inspirational true story of 1936 University of Washington rowing team that competed for gold at Summer Olympics in Berlin. The film hits theaters December 25th. So, from this little clip right here of a report, I'm not sure where it's from. This is linked in a Twitter feed, or whatever that thing is called nowadays. This right here proves that this cameo porn that was injected into a movie that James Gunn claimed was the greatest superhero movie he'd ever seen, which I think was a lie, and just to get people in seats, which didn't work, was given the A-OK by James Gunn. And there's this little joke right here saying characters in Superman Legacy, because again, we have all these incredibly large character rosters for characters that are supposed to be in the new Superman movie, and it's pretty insane. So this is a cast regarding some of the characters in Superman Legacy. The rest of the cast thus far includes Skylar Gisondo as the overeager Daily Planet photojournalist Jimmy Olsen, Sarah Sampaio as the villainous Eve Tessmacher, an ally of Luthor, Maria Gabriela de Feria as the engineer, Isabella Merced as Hawkgirl, Eddie Gathegi as Mr. Terrific, Anthony Kerrigan as the Shapeshifter Metamorpha, and Nathan Fillion as Green Lantern Guy Gardner. That's not the entire list of the people in the cast as well. Those are just other characters apart from David Cornsweet as Superman and the main cast, which is, obviously Lois Lane, Perry White. I forget who it was that just came out, but it's another race swap version of Perry White. Now, good actor, so I'm curious to see how we'll do. Just like Lawrence Fishburne was a good actor. He did a good job as Perry White. No problems there. Just don't make the entire character about their skin color. That's my only ask. Don't make the entire character about what gender they like or their skin color. Just make them good. All right? Make them a good character. And Lawrence Fishburne, as little as he was in those movies, was actually a good Perry White. No problems there. And that's about it. Those are the slides that I had. Not slides. Those are the screenshots that I took of an Instagram post regarding James Gunn's comments regarding cameo porn. I agree with his statement that the overabundance of consistent cameos again and again and again in movies when there is no need for those cameos to exist in said films is quite possibly one of the laziest, if not one of the worst tropes in modern Hollywood. However, James Gunn has to eat his own words because of the fact that his own movie is appearing to have that same issue. Now, will it have the same issue? I don't know. It could be a completely viable reason for why these characters are coming into existence. It could be that these characters could have a wonderful integration with the story. However, I don't want to see these characters in a Superman movie. I want to see Superman in a Superman movie. And this is one of the things that has continuously bothered me about James Gunn being the new head of the DCU, is because as good as he is at taking eclectic and weird characters and making great stories out of eclectic and weird characters, he's not a traditional kind of guy. He doesn't like traditional kind of heroes. So, all this casting of all these other characters, which are relatively eclectic, again, Guy Gardner is not the Green Lantern that you start with. You start with, in the very least, Hal Jordan or John Stewart. John Stewart, I wouldn't mind at all because he's my favorite Green Lantern. However, Guy Gardner is quite possibly the DC fandom's least favorite Green Lantern out there, and yet it's going to be James Gunn's Green Lantern, the first Green Lantern we see on screen in James Gunn's universe. And it's not one of the first Green Lanterns we see in comics. And it's the one of the Green Lanterns that people hate the most. That's an issue. That is a legitimate problem. Because it's already shaping up to look like everyone else who has said the same things as me have been saying. That James Gunn is going to take the things that he likes and he's going to make movies about those weird, eclectic things, regardless of how good the traditional stuff is. And that's what worries me about him helming a Superman movie. It should just be a movie about Superman. A guy in a big blue costume with a bright red and yellow S on his chest, big long red cape, maybe the S symbol on his back. I wouldn't have minded that at all. That would have been awesome. Give us a more classic Superman costume and a classic Superman story. But James Gunn, as a person, regarding the things that he likes in films and TV and movies, is not the person that you would want to have making a traditional story. That is something that concerns me. We've already seen what another person who doesn't like the traditional hero tropes will do with the stories, and that's how we got Henry Cavill's Superman snapping General Zod's neck at the end of Man of Steel, and Batman killing people indiscriminately in Batman vs. Superman. Both movies I enjoy watching, but it's not the traditional versions of the characters. And I want to see the traditional versions of these characters. I want to see the characters that I grew up watching in the DC animated universe. I want to see the characters that I grew up falling in love with regarding their stories, their moralities, their powers, their abilities, their dilemmas, their relationships. I want to see that on screen for the first time since Christopher Reeve's Superman movies. And we came very close to that with Tyler Hoechlin's version of Superman, but even then it was infected with that CW drama. So, I'm hesitant, but I do think that there is a potential this could be a good movie. Will it? Only time will tell. And it's coming out 2025. So we have to wait at least another year before we actually get to see this movie. Maybe. That's provided that there isn't a pushback regarding scheduling conflicts. Anyways, that's going to do it for this video. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Share this video with your friends. Subscribe if you haven't already, and make sure to click that notification bell to make sure that you don't miss a video that I upload. And if you are already subscribed, make sure that you're still subscribed, because I know that YouTube is deleting subscriptions and deleting views. I'm still working on a video for that. I have tons of screenshotted evidence regarding losing views because YouTube's deleting views. That being said, that's going to do it for this video. I hope you guys have a great day and a great rest of the week.